Senator Cruz.
Unfortunately, what is happening is the intended results of Democrats. It's not accidental. They intend this. Title 42 enables us to stop people who are public health threats, particularly during the COVID pandemic, from coming into this country. It is the one legal tool that the Biden administration has yet to gut, and there are active discussions about gutting that as well, and so allowing yet more illegal immigrants with COVID-19 into the country. I introduced legislation to preserve Title 42. 0 Democrats are sponsoring it. Last year, I introduced legislation to prevent the Biden administration from sending millions of dollars of stimulus payments to millions of illegal immigrants. Every single Democrat voted no, all of them. Failed by one vote. If one Democrat had voted for it, we would have stopped the Biden administration from sending stimulus checks to millions of illegal immigrants, but every Democrat supported it. I'm the author of Kate's Law, a law that provides violent felons who repeatedly cross illegally into this country should face a mandatory minimum prison sentence. We voted on it multiple times on the Senate floor. Every Democrat votes no. The reason why you can't see border security legislation moving in this Democratic Congress is because the Democratic Party has decided as a political matter they support illegal immigration. They view the 2 million illegal immigrants who came last year as future Democratic voters. And if the consequence of it is little children being physically and sexually assaulted, they're willing to take that consequence. It is brazenly cynical. And I'll tell you, South Texas, I'll make a political prediction for you. South Texas right now is a Democratic region of the state. Historically, it's been Democrat for 100 years. My prediction is in November, you're going to see South Texas turn red. There are 3 Hispanic women running as Republicans for Congress. I think you're going to see at least 2, and you might see all 3 elected to Congress, which is a sign of the seismic shift. You cannot see this human suffering and defend it because it is a disaster. It is indefensible. And when you've looked in the eyes, when we brought 19 senators down there, we went out on the river, we saw a dead body floating in the river from someone who died crossing illegally. We saw little girls who'd been raped crossing over. This is a policy that is putting billions of dollars in the hands of vast criminal cartels whose business is exploiting, abusing, and mistreating people. And by the way, if you think, well, gosh, Texas, it's really tough for them, but we don't have to deal with it. Every city in America is a border city. And I'll tell you why. When the illegal immigrants come over, they're wearing bracelets. The bracelets correspond with the money they have paid and the additional money they owe to the cartels. It costs between $3,000 and $8,000 to cross illegally. You cannot cross without going through the cartels. If you try to cross on your own, the cartels will kill you. Often when they cross, the cartels will put them in a stash house and extort thousands more money. And you have teenage boys the cartels will go and locate in cities all over the country. Actually, the Biden administration sends them to the cities all over the country. And then those teenage boys owe thousands of dollars to the cartels, and they work for the cartels in your city, in Washington, D.C., in New York, in Boston, in Des Moines, in Miami, in Sacramento, in every city in the country. There are teenage boys working for the cartels to pay off their debt, and if they don't pay it, they'll kill their family. And I'll tell you, the teenage boys are lucky because many of the teenage girls get put into sex slavery where they're forced to sell their bodies to pay off the cartels. If you're a 15-year-old Honduran girl who dreamed of freedom in America and you wake up to the nightmare of being trapped in sexual slavery, or else your family will be murdered, those are the human consequences of what's happening now. And when you look people in the eyes who've endured it, this issue becomes very personal to you. It's not abstract numbers on a chart. It's real people whose lives are being destroyed by the cynical political decisions of this administration.
Let's one last question, and then we'll wrap it up. Yes, sir.
Broadcasting to the Middle East in Farsi and Arabic. And I think for our audiences, they look at this and they believe that it's a domestic issue for the United States. But at the same time, they try to understand the impact of it on the next election cycle, both in Congress and in the White House. In your opinion, this issue, how much would that affect the next election cycle in America?
Well, Senator Cruz has talked about its impact in South Texas and the Rio Grande Valley, which has been a traditional Democratic stronghold. But I think all Americans are concerned about the lawlessness of these open border policies. Every country understands, I guarantee Ukrainians understand, the importance of integrity of their country and sovereignty. And essentially what's happened is the Democrats have abdicated American sovereignty by their refusal to enforce the law and to protect our borders, and to create a system that people for years, actually hundreds of years, have entered the country legally by. You know, gentleman earlier asked a question about immigration. I'm a strong believer in legal immigration. It's the secret sauce that's made America the most vibrant country in the world. And unfortunately, this illegal immigration allows drug dealers, sex offenders, repeat criminals, and other people who have no interest in your freedom or anybody else's freedom, but only want to serve their own interests. So that's the reason why we need to eliminate this illegality and these open borders and get back to a system that's predictable, that people can understand, and that respects immigrants who want to come to the country for the right reasons. Thank you.